Good evening, everyone. This is Pastor Lon Al, the homesteading pastor here in Harmony Acres Homestead in Hartsville, South Carolina. As you can see, I finally got the whole clan together. I wanted to introduce everybody to you guys. Y'all seen enough of me over the last couple of months since September, but I wanted to introduce them because I got them all together and they ain't gonna hang around long. We got the fireplace going behind us and it's pretty hot back there. But just wanted to introduce each one of them. I'll start with the oldest. This is Bradley right here, the one we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight. This is Bradley Monroe Owl. He's 29 years old. Tell him hey, Bradley. Tell him hey. Hey.
Hey.
There you go. All right, and the next to the oldest is Corey, right up here behind me. Corey Hunter Owl. That's the next to the oldest son. And then third to the oldest is Michaela, our daughter, right here. She can't say hello because she's never spoken a word. She's legally deaf and blind, as Bradley is. But Michaela is how old, Robbie? 20. Michaela's 20 years old, and the baby boy is the tallest boy in the family. This is Gavin right over here. Say hey, Gavin. That's Gavin Chandler Owl, our youngest child and our baby boy. So I just want to introduce everybody, and of course, this is my lovely wife, Robbie Lynn. Hey, Robbie.
Hello.
And everybody knows me as Pastor Lon, the homesteading pastor. But just wanted to introduce the rest of my family, so you got to put a name, a face with a name, and hopefully you'll see more of these guys. We're going to try to showcase each one of them in the next couple of weeks or months, and we're going to start off with Bradley tonight.
So Cooper.
Cooper, yes, Cooper right there. Say hey, Cooper. That's our newest member to the family, our little corgi, and we love him. And we got Eli running around here, Australian Shepherd, and Duchess, our other corgi, and Sadie outside guarding everything out there, another Australian Shepherd, and we got Nala and Marley, our two Anatolian Shepherds that are our livestock guardian dogs. But anyway, just want to introduce all of them, and you guys can go back to doing what you were doing. If y'all take Bradley, take him back to his room while I adjust this camera a little bit. Y'all bear with us just a moment. Here we go. All right, Robert Lynn, come on in here. Come up a little bit. There you go. All right, like I said, we just wanted to talk a little bit tonight about, after introducing the family, just wanted to talk a little bit tonight. And I guess I should have said when I had them all in here together, we hope all of you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the Owl family to all of our subscribers. We really appreciate everybody supporting us. Never dreamed it would be what it is today. And I'm just thankful for another milestone, almost to reach 450 subscribers. So never dreamed it would be that big, but I am thankful to the good Lord above that it is. But I'm not looking for the quantity of numbers as much as I am the quality of people on here that really want to, really here for the right reasons and want to be here. So I just appreciate all my subscribers tonight. But Robbie and I wanted to share a little bit of Bradley's life. Y'all have seen him on a couple videos, Farmer Bradley. And he's had a tough life from day one. And I got Robbie on here. She's going to help me out with a lot of these, trying to remember stuff. And we wrote it down on paper, even though we've been with him from day one. We just wanted to write down a few things, make sure we didn't leave out anything. But first of all, Bradley was born on May the 20th, 1991. And Robbie, when he was born, before he was born, what were some of the things they told us that possibly could be wrong with him?
That he would have a dandy walker cyst.
Okay.
And have to have a shunt when he was born.
A shunt. Okay. And something about could have, was it waterhead? Didn't say something like it could be?
Well, the cyst would have caused him to be like a waterhead baby. That's why they had to put the shunt to drain the fluid from his brain.
Okay, so they gave us all that as young couples up in Columbia, South Carolina, here where we live, and they just blew our mind. Our firstborn, having all these different things that could be going wrong with him, and they never did come out and tell us that we should think about aborting, even though that would have never been an option with us. But nevertheless, we're glad that we have Bradley in our life. But early on as a young couple, and we got married in '87. Bradley was born in '91, and like I said, being the firstborn, we just didn't know what to expect. Life's tough enough when you have a newborn baby coming into your life when everything's healthy. Much less when you got some issues, and we didn't have any idea what we was getting ready to tackle with Bradley, but we knew that with the good Lord's help, we'd be able to handle it. But just wanted to try. I'm gonna try not to make this video too long, and you might can read some of this better than I can. I got it. The light in here is not too good. But as he's already said about the shunt, the waterhead, Dandy Walker cyst and stuff. And before Bradley was born, he had a mini stroke in Robbie's womb before he was ever born. It affected his right side really bad. He got good mobility on the left side, but on his left legs, arms, hands, and everything on the left side is strong, but on the right side he's very weak. And he looks at it with on the bright side. He calls his right hand just real weak. He calls that his helper hand. As far as his skull, we want to talk a little bit about that. He has sutures that fuse together in his skull that cause.
They call it craniosynostosis.
I better say that a little louder so they can hear it. I knew I couldn't handle that big word.
It's craniosynostosis. That's the medical term. Where most of the time when babies are born, before they're born, their bones like in their forehead float. They call it floating. They're not fused together. So when they come out of the womb, they can.
Core.
I guess you would say contract like and make it easier for the head to come out. But his was already solid, fused together before he came out.
And that's what caused the stroke.
It was compressing his brain.
Right, and that's what caused him to have a mini stroke before he was ever born. So as you can see right off the bat, he was behind the 8 ball. A few more things I had jotted down here that I can't hardly read.
Which that's the first surgery he had when he came.
Right, and then he was, that was at 4.5 months old.
Yep.
When he had the first surgery, and they released the sutures like she just said.
Well, they told us they were going to do 2 little cuts on each side and open it.
But they done what?
It was from
They cut him
one side to the other.
ear to ear, from one side to the other, and basically reconstructed his whole forehead. But the first time they done it, they just released the sutures.
And they thought that was going to work.
And then I can't remember.
At 2 years old, he had to have total reconstruction of his whole forehead.
2 years old. That's when they fused back together. They had to go back in there and reopen them, and then they reconstructed his whole forehead. Didn't they actually take bone from the back of his skull to help form the front?
But they put a plastic adult forehead in.
Yeah, because when they first put it on there, it looked so much bigger than the rest of his face and his body and his head. I questioned whether that was right, which I knew doctors normally know best, but as a parent, I was concerned. So that was some of what he had done for us with his surgeries early on, from 4.5 months old to 2 years old. He was pretty much in and out of the hospital and had those big major surgeries. Then I wrote down here, Robbie, about his eyelid surgery and the colobomas in his eyes, and he was diagnosed as being legally blind. Eyelids meaning the bottom eyelashes, should say eyelashes, were turned up on Bradley's eyelid, and it was the hair was in his eyes. It was like stuck to the eyes. You can imagine how irritating that had to have been for him, because if you get just a little anything in your eye, it drives you crazy. But nevertheless, he had those in his eyes. They had to operate on them and turn them down, and that was at a very early age as well. You can see that better than I can to keep us on track.
And his hearing.
So found out he was legally blind, and also that he was legally deaf. He cannot hear anything in his left ear, but he wears a hearing aid for the right ear, and that's helped him along a lot. Being that he can actually carry on a conversation with you, I talk kind of loud to him, but nevertheless he can hear with that right ear with a hearing aid. What else we got?
Started school at 3 years old.
Okay, started school at 3 years old.
Hearing impaired.
In a hearing impaired class here in Darlington, South Carolina, and he had a shadow with him from pretty much early on once he started.
He probably got a shadow when he was in like, I want to say 3rd grade maybe.
Okay, in 3rd grade. That was Miss Harris. Miss Jeannie Harris, which was a God sent. It's almost like an angel. There's, like trust your kids with just anybody, but we knew we could trust him with her. Just a good feeling, and she stuck with him right on through high school, and he graduated. We'll talk about that in a minute. What else we got there?
His paint.
Well, let's go back to at 7 years old. Bradley could see to get around, even though he was legally blind. But at 7 years old, both of his retinas detached, or his retinas detached in each one of his eyes, and he went completely blind at 7 years old. And he's been completely blind since then, and he's 29 today. But he could follow me around outside on his electric four-wheelers. I drove the gas four-wheeler around. He could follow me around in the yard. He could go where he needed to go in the house, finding the bathroom and stuff. But when he went legally blind, for about a week or so, Bradley went in a deep depression. He was always the kid that picked us up. He makes the holidays special, like all my kids do. But Bradley, being a special needs child, and my wife gets on about calling them special needs, but there are kids that need special attention, but they're still angels sent from God. But nevertheless, he went in a deep depression, and he'd always been the one to pick us up. And you always feel like you can fix anything for your kids. But after he went blind and was in that depression, I went in there, and as he looked up at me, he was crying. And I laid across him on the bed and there to talk with him and to pray with him. And he looked up at me, not being able to see his dad again because he's legally blind. He's not seen me or his mom since he was 7, physically speaking. But he looked up at me with tears in his eyes and asked me if I could please fix his eyes. And that was probably one of the most helpless times helpless moment I've ever had in my life. Because I can't fix his eye. I couldn't fix them then. I can't fix them now. But I told him that Jesus could, and whether he fixes them on this side or on the other side when he goes to be with Jesus Christ, either way, he can fix them. He stayed in that state for like I said, a week or two. And after that, he came out, and he's been strong ever since until it got up to the kidney transplant. We can talk about that in a minute. But he got over that hump, and he's been doing great ever since then. We also find out during those early stages that Bradley, how old was when we found out he had a kidney disease? And do you remember what that was called, that disease?
It's FSGS.
FSGS. Okay, well, I can't.
It's something to do with the
filtering of your kidneys. And he had that disease too, on top of deafness and blindness and a mini stroke and all the other surgeries that he had. And we're not sharing this with you guys today for any sympathy or pity. We're just sharing this with you because of the outcome at the end of this video. We're going to let you know that it doesn't matter what is stacked against you. Jesus Christ can help you. And if Bradley can overcome the obstacles that he's overcome, so can you and I and anybody else that's watching this video later on. So I just want to share this to encourage you and let you know that, hey, God can help you with anything and use anybody. What else I have written down there? I'm about legally blind myself. Okay, when he was in school, he's got a girlfriend, and she's legally deaf and blind. Her name is April, and he met April early on in third. Yeah, okay, 3K.
When she was 3 years old.
They basically went through school their whole life together, and she could actually see up until she was in high school, if I'm not mistaken, and her retina's detached like Bradley's did, and now she can't see at all either. Or hear. It's kind of like a Helen Keller deal. She's in complete darkness and silence. So anyway, but they've been together all their life pretty much. They graduated from high school. She's a couple years older than Bradley. They went to the prom together 2 years in a row, or 2 times while they were in high school. And I just thought that was amazing how they were able to go to the prom together, and the people treated them just like they were anybody else out there. But they also cleared the dance floor and let Bradley and Michaela get out and not Michaela, that's my daughter, April, get out there and dance a little bit, and just have their time. And I thought that made us feel real good that they watched out to Bradley and April and let them participate like they did. What's next on the docket? I can't see it.
2015.
And like I said, that was through high school, and he graduated in.
Oh, why'd you ask me
that? Man, that's terrible. Anyway, let's see. I can't remember. That's terrible. 2000. I should have wrote that down because it wasn't the normal time. 91.
I want to say he was 19.
So that would put it about roughly 91, 2001, 2011, something like that, right? 2010. Anyway, 2010, 2011. We can't remember that date. There's so many dates on here. But anyway, graduated from high school and had the kidney issues. And they had him on the kidney transplant list for a long time, and finally got a kidney that come available for him in 2015. And that was something. I don't have enough time to talk about it. We got the call and late at night one night, and Had to be at MUSC in Charleston, South Carolina the next morning by like 5 in the morning and 5:30. And long story short, we got everything together, got the babysitters together, stayed with the rest of the kids. We started out, ended up having a blowout on I-95, headed to Charleston, and ended up, the car didn't have a spare tire that we were driving. It's a fairly new car, but it didn't have a spare tire, believe that or not. Anyway, we had to get, I dialed Star HP, 2 highway patrolmen ended up showing up. One deputy sheriff showed up from Santee, South Carolina, and sat with us until Officer Brown came to us and picked us up, me and Robbie and Bradley, and took us down as far as his jurisdiction would allow him to go. And he had to drop us off with Officer Basil, and he took us on into MUSC, and he took us there very swiftly. We were running over 100 miles an hour and had to get him there in a certain amount of time. And that was all a blessing from the Lord, because if there'd have been a spare tire in the car, I would have took the time to change the tire, and we wouldn't have gotten there, because I couldn't have driven over 100 miles an hour like they did, and I couldn't have went down one-way streets when we got to Charleston like they did with the blue lights and sirens and all ablazing. It was amazing. They got him there in time and ended up having a kidney transplant in 2015. That went very well. We were able to meet with the officers before he left to come home, on the day he left to come home. And I think since then they've started an award of, because they interviewed us, and I called those 2 officers, the Highway Patrol guys, Angels on the Interstate. And I think now they give out an award once a year for those guys, the guys in blue, the guys that we respect so much here in my family. Because if it hadn't been for those guys, my son might not be here today. And they got him there in record time. So they give an award out for all those officers that go above and beyond the call of duty to help people like they help my family and my son. And we really appreciate that, and I'll never forget it. What else we got here? He loves the farm. The what?
Painting.
Yeah, also before we leave that, to get to the next step, he used to do a lot of finger painting. Miss Jeannie Harris, his shadow in school, taught him how to do that. She taught him Braille. She taught him Braille good enough before we get to that he won a Braille reading contest when he was in the 9th grade, and he finished 2nd in the nation to a 12th grader from Kentucky. And I thought that was amazing. Bradley can read Braille like nobody's business. I used to tell him he'd have to go to bed and cut off the lights and go back in there and check on him a little bit later, and he's got the Braille book out under the cover. I mean, how can you stop that? You know what I mean? He didn't have to have any light to see. He was blind anyway, and he was just reading away. And he memorizes all the books. He memorizes the calendar every year, and he knows everybody in the family or anybody. If we tell him your birthday, he can tell you what day of the week your birthday will be on for that particular year, because my wife gets him a Braille calendar. He memorizes the entire calendar from January to December. And it's his memory. He's like a genius. Even though his IQ level, he still, likes cartoons, and mentally he's not 29 years old in his mind, but at the same time he's a genius because of the way he can remember things. He's so good with numbers and remembers people's names and birthdays and all kind of stuff like that. It's just amazing. But also I wish I'd have had some of those with me. We got him up in our fellowship hall at the church, but he does finger painting, and we got him here. And they also took one year and they sold it up in Columbia Art Museum, and I think it brought $500 for his painting, and that's the legally deaf blind guy that painted this painting. They sold it for $500, and the money went to help a kid from Camp Chemo, help a kid go on vacation for that year. They couldn't afford it, but because of God blessing Bradley to be able to paint with his fingers, they sold this. We gave them. They donated the money to this family, and that young kid, sent him to camp for a week. So that's the way it works. Got to send it on down the line. That's what this life's all about, helping one another. What else we got here? Bradley also loves the farm. Now that we moved out here on the homestead in 2017, he loves all the animals. He's about to memorize all the animals' names, the ones that we have named, from the dogs to the horses to the cows. He named Annabelle and Beauty and Char and Prisman. He knows their names. So he knows pretty much all the dogs' names. But he just loves the farm. He loves the simple life like we do. he also loves Jesus Christ, and he loves to go to church, and he loves his family. Matter of fact, he's the first one. When I call him in the mornings, he's ready to go to church on Sunday morning. He'll wake up and say, "It's Sunday, Daddy. It's time to go to church." Or Wednesday night service, Sunday night service. He's just all about Jesus. And if he hears somebody sick, he said, "We'll pray that Jesus will touch them and heal them." He knows all about Jesus Christ. And I'm a firm believer as his dad, and my wife Robert Lee and his mom can tell you the same thing. I believe he sees a lot more spiritually speaking than we do. Even though he can't see with his physical eyes, I know within my heart that God speaks to that young man every day. And he's such a blessing to so many people, including his siblings here on the homestead. But he loves Jesus, he loves church, he loves his family, he loves everybody, matter of fact. And he's so thankful for anything you get him. It doesn't matter what it is, a cup of water. He don't look for the big stuff for Christmas. And what my wife started doing last year, we just started doing this last year, and we're going to do it this year. Lord spares our life to Christmas Eve. But she started taking him shopping. He would pick up what he wanted every family member to get. How many little gifts did y'all get for the family?
42 this year.
42 for her family and my family. Bradley picked out what he wanted for each individual person. And then she brailled everybody's name on the gift. And what we do is we let him sit down in the front of her family and my family. Let him sit down first. He gives out all of his gifts to his grandparents, to his aunts and uncles, to his cousins, and everybody that's involved in the family. We let Bradley go first, and that's kind of like the highlight now of Christmas Eve, as far as family's concerned, is to watch Bradley give out, because he's got a heart of gold. I often say, whether it's my children here that are legally deaf and blind, or Down syndrome kids, or any other kid that may not, I'm not going to say normal, the world calls them normal, but maybe they're at a disadvantage that God has allowed it to be that way for whatever reason. I'm a firm believer that God sends these children to earth for you and I to learn how to live, love one another, and appreciate the little things in life. I'm a firm believer of that, because my son Bradley, and I know other kids that have similar situations going on, they're thankful for everything, they love everybody, and they're very appreciative for anything that they get. And that's what I believe that he put them, one reason he put them here. So we just wanted to get on here and share a little bit about Brad. I'm sure there's a lot more definitely we could say, but for sake of time, I'm trying to cut the video down. But as his dad, and Robbie can say whatever she feels led to say, but as his dad, I'm very proud of Bradley, Michaela, Corey, and Gavin, all of my kids. But Bradley, being the disadvantage that he is with the mini stroke and the surgeries he had at an early age, still made it through high school, still graduated, still went to the prom, still was able to do finger paintings to help some other kid make it to camp. I mean, I could go on and on about all the blessings that Bradley's been to people, to let somebody on here know. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. You may not have the severeness of issues that Bradley has, but God can use you in life. You've got destiny. You got a purpose for being here. So use what we've shared with you tonight about our son Bradley as inspiration and encouragement to do what God has called you to do. And you'd be surprised what you can do if you just had the faith that Bradley has. Anything you want to share right before we close it out?
I think you about said it all.
As a proud mom,
Yeah,
he keeps us going.
he keeps us humble.
He keeps us humble. But again, we're going to sign off here now. I appreciate you hopefully watching this video later on. If you hadn't subscribed to the Homesteading Pastor, we'd ask you to do so. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Share it with anybody you feel like sharing it with that you think it may help. Don't forget to ring that bell so you'll be notified of future videos. And you can also find me on Instagram as the Homesteading Pastor. Robbie's on there as Robbie Howle on Instagram, my wife. Also, we have a Facebook page here on the homestead. It's called Harmony Acres Homestead. You can look us up on Facebook there. We're just here to share the gospel, share our life with you guys. And I've met a lot of good people on here. I'm so thankful for all the subscribers that God has blessed me with. I know this video is a little bit long, but it's something that Robbie and I have been talking about doing for a while. And we hope we've said something tonight that will encourage and bless you and your family. And I encourage you to love the ones around you this year. Don't take them for granted. And keep Jesus Christ at the forefront of your life. And remember, this whole season is all about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So until next time, remember, Jesus Christ is the answer, and Jesus Christ loves you. Hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you. Good night.